On this episode of RVA Real Estate Talk, we will be jumping back in post-corona with me and Galen.
We're back.
Catch up on the Davis group, a little bit of what's going on, and we will be talking multiple offer situations, how to be a good realtor and handle them, because there's a lot of bad ones out there, and how to be a good seller or purchaser in the market, how to handle these things. Let's go.
You're listening to RVA Real Estate Talk with Jared Davis and Galen Parker, your source for an honest, insightful look into Central Virginia's real estate market. Combined, Jared and Galen have over 20 years sales experience, as well as hundreds of testimonials from clients past and present who rely on them for advice and assistance when buying and selling homes in today's incredibly hot and competitive real estate market. And now, your hosts, Jared Davis and Galen Parker.
That is right. I am Jared Davis.
And I am still Galen Parker. How are you guys doing today?
Man,
we're back.
It's been a while. Corona has thrown some things off, and not because of the virus, but just because it's changed our schedules a little bit, I feel like.
Last time we did a podcast, we were in our respective locations. We were all over the country. We were in Washington. Now we have reconstructed the studio here, so now we're all like 9 feet away from each other.
I can't touch. I can't reach.
We're so far. It looks awkward when if you guys were here, you see how far we're apart from each other. But safety first.
That's what matters. Everybody else is still doing podcasts, I guess, on Zoom. I felt really awkward trying to do it on Zoom and get it done and keep it in the schedule. So I
was crushing Zoom.
You were.
I was doing lots of buyer consultations. I started calling myself the Zoom king of Midlothian, Virginia. I was hoping that would catch on. It didn't really catch on the way I thought it would, but I've done 15 to 20. Just like, hey, I want to talk to you about. I'm like, yeah, sure. Let me send you a Zoom link, and people are like randomly clicking on, and so.
Caitlin was hoping he'd never see a real person again.
I'm super digital.
He was like, if I could just never show a house. Yeah, can we get like a showing robot or something?
I was going to try to borrow Studio 77's drone and just see if I could just pilot it into them, like, just enjoy the tour. So.
Oh, man. So what's new with you?
Let's see. Good things. Let's start with good things.
Okay.
And then we'll go to ungodfully terrible things. Good thing. Obviously, you'll talk a little bit more about the portfolio that the Davis Group just put out.
Yeah.
That was very exciting. We got to meet with different clients. And to me, I've been telling people, it's almost like a resume. Because there are other people who probably saw that and thought, man, these are the guys that I want to use. So that was a huge thing, huge success. And you can talk a little bit about that.
Yep. Oh, we're going to go straight to that. You don't want to go to your bad things yet.
We're gonna too soon.
Okay. Well,
just give me some good first.
We'll for all the doom and gloom and all the bad news from 2020, everybody just wants it to go away. This has actually been our greatest year ever. Yeah, I almost feel bad talking about it because everybody's talking about all the bad things that are happening, and I don't want to be like, well, look how awesome we're doing. But at the end of the day, we have had, it's been wild. Yesterday, we put our 94th house under contract for the year, so... we will be hitting 100 probably within a week or so, and we're still in September. We still have an entire quarter of the year yet, so I think probably 125 to 150 is a reasonable amount for the year. Volume-wise, we're at 29 million, so we're looking to shoot for 35 to 40 million this year in sales. I think that's probably up almost double over last year, so... Sure. Booming. And then like you said, we just listed a multifamily portfolio. Most people see our residential houses pop up, constantly, but we do commercial as well. We do buildings, we do multifamilies, we do retail. And so we got a portfolio of 6 different buildings. It was, I think, 23 or 24 actual units plus 3 garages for $6.5 million. And we actually just put a letter of intent. We actually had 3 letters of intent, but we signed off and we were about to put everything under contract probably today. Which is awesome. When you look at commercial, I think we were
super exciting. It was like one of the few times where, like, after a deal's gone through, like, I was getting calls from people. It's like, hey, I still wanted to take a look at it and be like, I can't believe I'm about to say this to you, but
it's gone.
It's gone.
Who'd have thought? 5 days.
$6 million property. It's gone. And they're like, really? Some people had like really cool backstories as to why they were interested in it. So
yeah, and it's interesting because like the commercial game, it's funny when you do residential, you put a house up for whatever you think it's worth. Or, even more right now if you want. It doesn't even matter. Everything just flies off the shelf. In the commercial world, everybody has the mentality of like, oh, these guys are going to price it $2 million over what it should be anyways, or $1 million over. So you start getting these letter of intents, and people are like, yeah, but like no one's used to paying ask for a portfolio, and that was probably like my bad going in. Was we just priced it right. When you look at what's for sale in Richmond, almost everything's like a 4 cap, and we were like, you know what, people want. They don't want a 4 cap, right? Like we came in at a 7 cap, and it was almost like I think I broke people's brains. People were like, well, I know the numbers are good, but I don't know if we can pay this much. But at the end of the day, they did. Everybody was like super strong on
close,
offers.
yeah.
We had above ask offers on single properties. And so, again, it's not closed yet. Obviously, we got about 90 days, but that's probably the most exciting thing that I'll see this year for sure.
Yeah.
So, man.
And now the bad.
I got nothing bad, but I'm going to let Galen do this one.
I'm going to look into the camera at this moment. Hello, City of Richmond. Resident here, VCU graduate. Let's talk a little bit about the bike lanes and the parking situation on West Franklin Street. I get it. I am a big supporter of riding your bike. I understand that you need lanes for them. I support that. I'm not going to protest or picket or spray paint anything about it, but I support it. Here's the issue, though. Sometimes the lanes just end and there's just parked cars. So what happened to me Wednesday when it was raining is that there was a Toyota Tundra in front of me. We're just driving along. I'm listening to the radio, not texting. I was very proud of myself that I wasn't texting or messing on the phone. Toyota Tundra, he breaks off right. I'm like, what is this maniac doing? As soon as he clears the line of vision, there's a parked car in the left lane where it normally was a driving lane. So naturally I smash into it, totaling my third best friend, my Nissan Xterra. Moment of silence for Magnus. But, now I'm back in the game of looking for a new car. So that is the bad. I've had Magnus for 10 years.
Wait, who's your first best friend?
Naturally, you got to put Kat.
All right, your wife. Second?
It's a fight between you and Emilio. Oh, where would you want to be? Do you want to be before Emilio or after Emilio?
I feel like I have to be before your dog. But dog is a man's best friend,
exactly, right? When was the last time I rubbed your belly?
I mean, you never
rubbed
asked.
Emilio's belly this morning.
But you never tried.
You never tried to rub my belly.
I mean, who's to say I would stop
That
you?
is a good question. I mean, I feel like if you've got a best friend and he says like his dog's best friend, your other best friend's like, no, I get that. I got a dog. Yeah, I get that. That totally makes sense.
It'd be funny if you came with a bowl with Jared's name on it.
But then Magnus now is 3 and I'm 4 all of a sudden.
All right, fine. I'll put you in front of Magnus. I would feel more. Right. Well, here's the other good measure.
3.5?
If something ever happened to you,
I don't want a half.
If there's something ever happened to you, I'd probably feel bad, like worse than I feel for Emilio or Magnus.
Yeah, but
That's
there's also like the thing, like your dog only lasts so long. You would hope that I'm gonna last. You would hope I'm gonna last longer.
Emilio's gonna last for Emilio.
How old is Emilio?
I got Emilio like the same time I got Magnus too.
So Emilio's like 12.
Yeah, he's like 13.
I mean, that's like me being your best friend, but I'm 98. Like you would
I've had you all your life.
Yeah, you would obviously love me, but you would know if I die, it's a sad day now. But it's gonna happen. But
exactly, because you're like, you can't be over. This is totally side. We talked about like we're not gonna get too sidetracked, but this is a very sidetrack. I feel bad for the day when Emilio dies. Not for myself. I'm gonna feel sad, but you as a business owner of a team manager. You have a transaction coordinator who's integral to our lives and the success of our business. She has her hands in all of the agents. Agents call her with problems. She helps navigate. She helps diffuse situations.
That's Galen's wife, if you don't know.
When things go bad with Emilio, I don't know what we're going to do. We just got to not sell houses.
No.
Because she is not going to be working that week. Oof. Like, we even, like, the other day, I was, like, trying to breach the subject. I'm like, well, he's 13. I think she, like, left the house and didn't talk to me for, like, 5 hours. I was like... Too soon?
You're like, well, why would you do this?
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm just trying to get closer to but it's gonna be a bad one. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm like, do I have to immediately just buy another dog? Is that the rules?
See, the thing is, you buy another dog before the other dog dies.
Yeah, you've been talking to Kat apparently, because if it was up to her, the house would just be filled. We'd be like 101 Dalmatians with all the dogs running around. She wants a puppy. But she wants a puppy with the stipulation that all things in my house, I have to take care of it to every degree. So it's like, I got to take it out. I'm like, I don't have time to like, be walking a dog and potty training a dog and stuff.
I hold
like
Emilio like a baby and he loves it.
The fact that you have been mauled to death is amazing.
I'm the only one I think that holds
That's
Emilio
very true.
at all.
Very true.
Let alone like a baby.
Only me and Jared. The cat doesn't even hold him. She's like, I'm not picking up that wild
animal.
He does
it. Your wife was like, he's going to kill you. And then he didn't. and then he accepted
Just
it.
don't. You didn't bring him too close to your face. That's what he's waiting for. He's waiting for that kill shot. He's
right.
like, bring
not
me
gonna-
close to your face, Blue Eyes.
He's not going to waste
They're
it.
gonna be calling you Blue Eye.
Alrighty. Well,
All right.
Well, I was just going to say on the portfolio, I'm just blown away because that was a hard day. That was
Man,
a long.
You two put in a lot of work.
that was
day.
a long.
so
day.
not only was it a
and a
lo-
long edit.
not only was it a long day of shooting because we shot 24 units, 26
26.
with the garages and everything.
Like, no, it's 26.
There's like
Trust me.
26 leases. I think it's like 23
He
or
hasn't got the
24 in the
bill yet.
leases. That's right. Don't you charge me for garages? Anyways, I will dispute that PayPal account. So anyways, yeah, that was a long day of shooting, and then it was marketing, and then we did a showing, and literally we just thought with that many tenants and with coronavirus and everything else, we might as well just do it all in one day versus bothering tenants every day. So we had, I think, like 15 people show up, something like that. And they waned off. There was people that were just interested in certain properties, but by the end, I mean, and it started raining. There was calling for zero rain, and it ended up pouring by the third property.
I trusted you, Andrew Frieden. You let me down.
It was, man, that was it. But can you imagine $6.5 million under contract in 5 days? That's got to be a record in Richmond.
If we can do that for that portfolio, imagine what we could do for you.
I like that. Yeah, if you got multifamily. So here's the thing. When we listed that, there's only 15 multifamily properties for sale in all of Richmond MLS. Now, some commercial people don't use the MLS. I disagree with that. It's a whole nother topic for a whole
Totally
nother day.
different. And I understand.
Now, I
agree with you on that.
I was in commercial MLS and I was in Central Virginia
went
MLS.
both.
Between my marketing and Central Virginia MLS, I had 70 agents reach out to me. From CoStar, I had 5 agents. Nothing against CoStar, nothing against commercial MLS. It's a whole different market share.
I've got a
But
client
you got
that works for CoStar.
5,000 agents in Richmond that don't have access to the commercial MLS. And a lot of them still have investment clients. So that's actually who we grabbed, was somebody from that side of things. And yeah, I mean, I think 2 of the LOIs for the whole package were from probably commercial MLS.
And if
The
you
other
do
was
not know
Central
what
Virginia.
LOI means, Jared will tell you.
Letter of intent. So with commercial, you
There you
typically
go.
start with a letter of intent and then work towards contract. That's a whole nother podcast. Again,
That's 2 episodes from now.
another
Tune in.
deep dive. If y'all are interested in commercial, we can do that. Y'all just let us know what you like to hear.
Very nice.
We love your feedback. But anyways, on to the deep dive. All right. Multiple offer situations.
The multiple bid. Dun dun dun. Can we get a dun 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 sound? Is that licensing? We'll work on that.
Hey, Galen, why did you want to do this podcast?
I wanted to do it for a very good reason. Currently, I've got 4 different clients. So imagine that, 4 different clients looking at different
I can imagine.
properties simultaneously. All of us putting in multiple bids and all of us losing on them. I don't like to lose.
I don't
Doesn't
either.
happen often. But due to the market, due to the way things are going, and some of it's due to understanding of client and educating client, we're losing on them. And I talked to some other agents, and they're all kind of feeling that same pressure. So we wanted to help, one, not just those who are out there who are looking to buy houses, but also to help other agents. I get a lot of questions from other agents or people are looking to get into real estate, and they say, well, how do I do this? What is this? And so I thought this would be a good one to help. We've actually mentioned it before, but we're going to probably talk about this a little bit more.
I think Galen's trying not to murder a lot of you guys out there, and that's actually why he wants to do this. He's really hoping some realtors will listen, and they're like, well, obviously they're not taking the How to Handle Multiple Offers class at RAR or on.
Take the class.
They're not getting CE credit for this, so maybe they can listen to us in the car, talk about how to not be a moron when you have multiple offers.
We'll have a section. A section I like to term "Be the Agent You Want to See," and we'll talk a little bit about ways in which you can conduct your business to a better degree, so that when in the future you put in an offer and it comes across our desk and I look at it and I don't get like an eye twitch because I remember your name because my brain works that way and I remember stuff like that. I won't say like, oh, this is the person that didn't respond to certain things we can do. So we'll talk about that. I think that's important, and that'll make for the entire real estate community better.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We get it. Public disclaimer. We know you're busy.
Super
We
busy.
know you're probably busier than you've ever been in this business. I mean, we are. We've done almost 100 houses this year. And no offense to anybody, but most people that we deal with this have not sold 100 houses this year. So when I hear I was just too busy to get back to you on your offer, I was too busy to acknowledge that I received your offer, I was too busy to tell my clients about your offer. That's very wrong, by the way. You have to
I think that's also a
you
violation.
have to realize the anger-inducing coma that could come over us and our clients. So, Galen, what's the process? What should we be doing when we hit multiple offer situations?
One of the things I always tell people, it's all about communication. So we'll go from, like, say you're the agent. Congratulations, you've got a listing.
Hot prop.
Hot prop. You're in, let's say you're in one of those high demand areas, like in the Fan. So you've got a nice property. Your sellers, they've been very upfront with you. They followed your advice. They've done the updates that you requested to them. They've gotten rid of some of the furniture that you said will not show well. They've done all the things that you asked them to do. Congratulations. But now you put it on the MLS. It goes active. You get one request to show, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and now you've got 20 requests to show. So you're like, man, this is a hot prop. I've got a lot of interest. And so you start getting these offers. And so one of the things that you can do that I don't know why more people aren't doing, because they're like, oh, I got overwhelmed. Nah. Just make a note of it. You can use your Pages in your iPhone or whatever Google has corrupted, and those Android devices. Keep a little note. Jared Davis sent me an offer. Galen Parker sent me an offer. Mike sent me an offer. That way you can know, all right, these are the people I need to at least respond and say, hey, thanks, got your offer. That's a big thing.
Or even just keep it in a spreadsheet. Like, you can make a multiple offer spreadsheet in 2 seconds that just has agent name. I mean, you just put the property on there, price, closing costs, home warranty, yes or no, appliances, yes or no, closing date, all of these things. So if you've got 12 offers, I mean, a lot of agents they haven't ever experienced it, and they're like, man, I got 15 offers,
so many emails.
I don't even know who to get back to. I don't even know what happened. So they finally pick one, sometimes not even the best one. That's the other thing. When I get a response, it's like, well, your offer was better, but we chose this one because I couldn't handle everything we signed before. Like, it's just like, what? No, wait, whoa, back up. I win, but you chose another offer to the detriment of your seller because you couldn't handle your job. Okay,
we'll talk a little bit later about what you can do as a buyer to make sure that you are that person that won without the better offer.
So spreadsheet it out, because then you have everything laid out. And I actually got that from selling something for a corporate, essentially an organization, because they were just used to it, and they were like, hey, just keep it all in a spreadsheet, and then when we pass it up the ladder, everybody can just look at the same spreadsheet and see what it is. Well, your ladder's very small. You, seller, just pass it to the seller. There's one rung. Just give them the spreadsheet. And now they can compare. And then now, instead of you being like, oh my God, let me try to find this offer and that offer so I can read all the terms to you and we can go over 12 at a time. Now you just have a nice clean spreadsheet. You can say, here's the closings on all of them. Here's the pricing on all of them.
Money deposit amount.
If you want to go just extra stellar as an agent, put them in order from best to worst on what you think from a pricing standpoint. And now you can say, hey, you see these at the bottom? Yeah, they're trash. This agent on the buy side doesn't understand that when you have 10 offers, you don't ask for full closing costs and 20 under the ask price, right? So you start wiping that out, and now you can start making an informed decision.
Very nice.
But now once you've made an informed decision,
keep yourself organized.
You got 10 offers.
Well, that's the word you just said, organized, because I have to be careful in what I say, because I have a lot of clients, but in the real estate side, but organization is, I think, number one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I come from a corporate sales background where if you are not organized,
you're fired.
I will fire you. So it's like you've got to be very organized to say, like, hey, who put an offer on this bid? And if you're like, let me check my emails, I'm like, there must be 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't recall it, or you're just not organized. And so be organized. It'll save you a lot of stress. Also, it'll impress your client.
100%.
When they do we have any offers? Well, here, check out the spreadsheet that I'm using to track incoming offers, and then I've rated them for you for ease of use. They're going to be like, oh, okay, I'm glad that I made the decision to hire you. So much so that I'm now going to refer you to my fraternity brother, my friend, my cousin, all those things. So that's something that you can do. So now you've got all of these offers. You evaluate, and now you have to choose one.
So hold on one
You wanna
second
go-
then. No, I want to go two things with the choose one. First, organization. It also helps you build your business later, and it's going to help you the busier you get.
Yeah.
Because, again, some people are like, I've got 3 pending deals right now. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You never had 3 pending deals. But you're going to get to a point as an agent where you may have a month where you have 8, 9, 10 pending deals. I think we've got 32 pending deals right this second. And all of those have to be watched over all the time. So the more organized you get now, the more that now down the road when you've got 5 offers with competing offers and multiples that you can handle all of it. But again, you got 10 offers. Galen, do you pick the best one or do you go back to the 10 offerers? What's the strategy?
So we've got a term, some H&B, so highest and best, other people use. So oftentimes, depending on what your seller wants to do, now this is going to be very determined of what your seller wants to do. Now they might say, hey, this is what I got. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'll select one. A lot of times other sellers say, well, can we get any more? And then you will all the people in your spreadsheet, all 10 names, and their email address, you might email them and say, hey, we are in a multiple bid scenario. We are calling for highest and best offers at this time and date. That's very beneficial. Now, you probably can't disclose anything to them. You probably can't say how many you got, or obviously you're not going to tell them what you got.
Well, back up there.
Maybe you could.
If the seller says it's okay to disclose anything, you can disclose it. And I make that note because so many times I talk to agents, and it's like they're trying to be the most vague they could
Cloak and
possibly
dagger,
be.
full cloak and dagger.
Here's the thing. Ask your seller if when an agent calls you and says, hey, it's 11 o'clock on a Friday night, I'd rather not spend my time writing all this paperwork and getting it signed. If I'm here, do I even have a shot, right? Can you just get the okay from your seller? Because there's nothing worse than the agent being like, well, just put it in and we'll see.
We'll see what you got.
See how it goes.
Do your best.
Well, I'll cross my fingers for you. No, stop. Just tell me whether I should. Don't tell me what the offer is. I'm not telling you that. Just tell me I'm way off or I'm not way off. That's it.
Like,
and
this is what I want. Is this, I'm way off? Hey, have a
Try
great day.
again.
You can, and you can do that to everybody. You're not giving me some fair advantage. You can tell anybody the same thing, but whatever the seller will let you disclose. If the seller says, "Hey, tell them what the other offer is," guess what? You can do it. I mean, that's the biggest thing I think agents don't realize is that
What's
you
the
talk
benefit of being vague?
There's no benefit. As somebody that negotiates 100 plus contracts a year, the guy that thinks he's getting a better deal by being vague, he's way off. I mean, when I sell my personal flips, when I own them and I represent myself, you best believe, I will tell the agents anything. I mean, they're like, well, what do you want? I'm like, if you write me this in the contract line and send it over, I'm going to sign it. Yeah. So do you want to win it for your client? Sure. Well, this is the number. I mean, don't make me guess. I
think it's a matter of people don't feel comfortable, but just you got to have a conversation with your client.
Oh my gosh,
this is a hot topic.
Yeah, have a conversation with your client
topic.
and just say what do you feel comfortable? Can I tell them this? Can I tell them that? Because to Jared's point, to the vague, I had one recently. So I'm trying to feel a guy. I'm like, so you can't. He's like, I can't tell you. So when I go back to my client, what is the first question your client's going to ask?
What do you think we need to put in?
What do you think we need to put in? Oh, well, I don't know. Well, it's,
I'm dealing with Mysterio over here.
Yeah, I know. It's just I don't know. David Copperfield won't really tell me what am I supposed to do? And so your client, they're like, well, how do I know? And I'm like, that's a very reasonable question. Yeah. How do you know? Do you come up some? Do you come up 10,000? I don't know. Yeah. So it's so a lot of times I guarantee a lot of clients are like, you know what? Yep. I'm not gonna come up. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm happy with my offer, and that doesn't do you, as a listing agent, any better. That doesn't help your client any, because now they could have probably gotten some more if they would given us some parameters and direction.
Let's be clear: an agent cannot even tell another agent if they have other offers on the property without the seller saying it's okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get agents that are like, oh, we got multiple offers before they ever talk to their client, and they get that approval. So, hey, follow the rules, get the approval.
Have the conversation ahead of time.
But I've also had the same thing happen where I'm like, hey, do you have any offers? Well, I'm not at liberty to disclose that. Okay, but can you ask real quick and get some liberty so that I can figure out what to do?
Libertize yourself.
And then you put an offer in. Sorry, we had 3 others, and you were second place. Oh, okay. Well, I probably would have had a totally different strategy had you said something about this.
So I got a question.
Fire away.
This house was owned by a bank when we bought it.
Yep.
Is that in your scenario on dealing with the bank or whatever, how is that? Is it better? Is
So
it
the
worse?
banks pretty much, well, depending on who owns it, depending on what's happened, there's different protocols. There's also different ways to put in the offer depending on who's selling it and where it's coming from, where in the process they are. But statistically, depending on what it is, whether if it's a HUD home or an REO, they've got their numbers and they're pretty set on their numbers because of how they come to them and their balance sheets and how they're allowed to write off loss. So there's typically like a net amount that they have to
take home.
that they have to take home after paying commissions and stuff like that. A lot of times, like HUD Home Store, where you can put in on like a HUD home that's been taken away, you can almost go in and lowball them if there's no other offers, and you'll typically get a counter back at like whatever they'd be willing
That's
to
the
take.
number,
honestly,
yeah.
they'd be like, they're not. And if you counter them back like $1 under, they're gonna be like, no, we sent it back to you, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. Like I put in one for like it was Rebecca's. It was like a $80,000 house. It was a flip, and the guy was like, "Well, put in 32 or something wild."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably never happening." But then they came back and they just accepted it.
You can do that.
But now let's say you get 9 or 10 offers. Sometimes you want to be fair because maybe somebody came through and they were that first offer. And they were in there and the guy said, hey, there's no other offers going on, yada, yada, yada.
So they put in?
You put your response time 8 hours from now. You know it's short. You know there's other showings, so it's competitive. But then they don't respond. They let your offer expire. The day comes, the next day. They wait till 2 or 3 o'clock. You're calling, hey, can you just let me know what's going on? Oh, now we've got 9 offers. Okay. Oh, wow.
Which is not unrealistic.
No, and things drastically changed since the first guy put it in. So maybe that's when you go back and say, hey, let's just be fair. Tell everybody, best and final by this evening. We won't counter anybody. Right? And then we get our best and final. Seller's happy. Now what do you do?
Sorry, I got sidetracked because something that happened recently. They said best and offers due by 6 p.m. and then it went pended at 4 p.m. Have you ever seen that? And I'm like, what just happened here?
So actually, I'd like to clarify something on that since we're starting to wrap this up anyways. Sometimes you will see in the MLS, it says, we will start showings on Tuesday or Wednesday. We will consider offers Sunday after the open house. Sometimes you will see that house pinned before Sunday at the open house. Is it wrong that it pinned before Sunday at the open house? Ethically, no. Because you're representing your client. So remember
Whatever they
this.
say.
Because I've gotten so many angry calls from agents that said, hey, I really didn't want to do my job and show the house Wednesday, so I just told them to go to the open house Sunday because I was busy, and now I lost the house for them. And I say, you probably should have called me, because another agent said I got in the first day, offered you $30,000 over ask, and told you to take it or leave it. And my client said, wow, I like $30,000 over ask, and he took it, right? So keep in mind, we owe nothing to the other realtors other than, again, we're trying to say a hospitable response on whether you got an offer or not.
Yeah.
Other than that, sometimes agents get very angry, like, well, you weren't looking out for me or my client. No, we're looking out for our clients. And I hate when that happens to me too, but that's why I always reach out personally as an agent and say, hey, I see that you're waiting for offers on Tuesday or Sunday or whatever. If I send them to the open house, that's fine, I guess. I can show them before. Is there any chance you take anything before? Or can you just put my name down as a note so that if you do take something before Sunday, you can let me know?
Just let me know.
That's it.
I do that.
But I
just
get
let me know.
no calls from anybody, and then I get a flood of angry calls if something goes under before they get it, and they say, well, they haven't looked at it yet. I never got a call of interest. I never got a feedback response on anything.
Response is big,
right? No feedback. And now they're like, well, why?
Click the button. Click the button.
Now they're like, but why can't I buy this house now? It's like, well, you've done nothing. I don't know you exist right now. I mean, this is like when we showed the multifamilies the other day. Unfortunately, we had some people show up at times when we were already done showing them. We ran ahead of schedule, but these people didn't tell me that they were coming. They didn't, their agent didn't call me. No one tells me that they're coming, and then I get a call at 2 to say, hey, I'm standing outside. What's up? And it's like, well, the other 20 people kind of got the memo or let me know what was going on. So communication.
Be proactive,
can we go back
not
to
reactive.
can we go back to communication and just communicate, guys? If you have a client
Call
that you
me.
think this is the one, text me. I'd rather you not call me if you can.
I like talking to people.
He does. I talk to so many people all day. If you can text me, it's what my voicemail says.
Except
I prefer
do
it,
not
but-
call me between 8 and 11 because that's when I'm calling prospecting.
I like the story where someone texted you and you said, what's up? And then they got mad because you said, what's up?
Yeah. There was someone called me and I did an auto response that said, can't talk right now. What's up? Because I was literally in a meeting.
It's an auto response.
And then they got mad and said, I can't believe you do business this way. And I said, how? You mean texting back promptly when someone tries to contact me? And then they said they were going to report me for like harassment after that. And I was like, I'm going to block your number now, please.
He's like, have a great day.
Yeah, please leave me alone.
They're our biggest viewer, so.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so you've gotten your offer signed. You're ratified. What do?
We're still talking about multiple bids.
You're ratified now. I think we got to ratification. We're wrapping this thing up.
All right.
So what do we do? This seems like the simple answer, I think.
Congratulations. Acknowledge. I think this is a big thing that I feel like a lot of people don't do is for all the people who didn't win, your offer was not accepted. Just send all of those people an email. Thank you for your interest in this lovely property. My client decided to not accept. We went a different way.
Yep.
I like that. Just, okay.
Yeah.
What I don't like is
Seeing
this.
it pending. And then your client's texting you and saying, hey.
And then I throw the phone out the window because you never responded or acknowledgement. Then my client's like, so what? Any news on that house? It's showing pending on redfin.com or Zillow. And I'm like,
oh, man. And then you look like an idiot, right? Because then they're like, well, my agent didn't even tell me it's sold. And Zillow's telling me it's sold. And you're like, no, it's not me. Not me. I've left this guy 80 messages, right? So maybe you send the email out before you pinned it. I try to do before I pinned it just because of that exact reason. I'm not saying sometimes I haven't pinned it before.
Send, pinned.
And guess what? There's this awesome thing called copy and paste. And you can literally just copy and paste the same email to all 10 offers. It takes 2 minutes.
Very nice way to do things.
Let people know.
It'll increase your, I don't want to say your reputation capital in the area because, we've got 5,000 agents, but it's still a small community because there's, the top percent are doing most of the business.
80-20 rule, but it's like 99-1 in real estate.
We recognize the names, and so it's like if I see a name again, I'm like, oh, this is the guy who didn't respond to me. Or, hey, this is the guy that they acknowledged it. They sent me the nice email. I'm like, okay, no hard feelings. I totally get it. I appreciate you doing that.
This guy doesn't know what a defect is.
You made my life a little bit better.
Yeah, this guy doesn't know negotiating. This guy doesn't know what a defect is. This guy tries to get my clients to buy all the propane for his clients. I mean, the list goes on and on.
It's like I got lists and categories. I'm like, this guy will do this.
I'm not saying my list is written, but it's a pretty good mental list when I see a name come across on something.
That's so funny.
So is that it? Does that wrap up?
I feel like that is it for that portion of it. How are we doing?
I think we got a few minutes left. So I say what we touch on is as a buyer.
As a buyer, that's
how
what I was
do you
thinking.
nail down the multiple situation? The seller, we've kind of covered all the seller side. As a buyer, though, things you can keep in mind: closing costs, they become much harder to get the more offers happen, right?
Exactly.
So people are
unless what?
Well, you could say unless you bid up the price, but the problem is that if I need $7,000 in closing costs and I go up $7,000, and somebody else gives a net offer ask price with no closing, my offer has to appraise at $7,000 higher to account for that $7,000.
That was a big thing. I was like, the appraisal is what will humble all of us.
A lot of people can't comprehend that, and with the market the way it is, people are already pricing things higher than they maybe normally would because they think they can get it. And things are getting bid up already. So then when you add those closing costs in, now the other agents are saying, well, my client's really afraid it's not going to appraise. So that would be number one. If you can get rid of the closing costs, that's huge. Financing terms, I hate to say it, you're not supposed to have any weight on what the financing terms are technically. But from a realistic standpoint, if someone sees a conventional loan versus like a VHDA loan, conventional is typically a stronger buyer. It's more money. VHDA is 0% down most of the time, or grant fund. Credit scores are different, right? I mean, it does factor in, unfortunately. And I hate to say it, even the appraisals are going to come back worse. A VA appraisal is almost always going to be worse than a conventional appraisal. It shouldn't happen that way. You think the house is worth what it's going to worth. But I guess the appraiser realized, well, this guy's 0% down versus 20% down, so they got to be stricter on the guidelines. Next thing I see waived, inspection repair items or inspection in general, and appraisal contingencies. So one idea for you guys, if you're fighting on trying to get an offer, waive certain inspection items if they're under a certain amount of money, right? No seller wants to sell their house and then get a 40-line item inspection addendum to fix loose outlets and a leaky toilet or a deadbolt that doesn't lock from the outside because they supposedly think it's a safety defect, right?
Yeah.
All of these dumb things. Get rid of it. Or waive your inspection. That's like a last resort, but I've seen a lot of people. I've seen people waive it.
I was telling people, it's like for my clients, I'm like, That is like the nuclear last option. I will not readily recommend doing that, but I will recommend, capping it.
Yep.
But you always want to have an inspection because, you never know. It's your dream house. Your dream house and your nightmare can be very closely aligned if you don't have an inspection because, it looks good on the outside and then all of a sudden, there's a flood in the crawl space. And so I say, think about capping it, but I always recommend you're probably going to want to have it, especially if you're a new home buyer. You probably want to have an
you
inspection.
can't always cap, so you could always say, hey, we'll waive all repairs up to $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 max. And that when you add up all these dumb little things that they say are defects and they add up to $2,000, they know they're not going to get hit with it. But now all of a sudden you got a $2,000 mold remediation and insulation issue in the crawl space. Well, we get to ask for that. We don't get to ask for all these little items, but we need you to fix this bigger item now that we've blown past this, or at least credit it based on the amount, right?
Yeah, so if you're a buyer, that's something that you can take, and we've listed your contingency. We purchase, I was reading and I was looking at a little, maybe your earnest money deposit, sometimes that can affect.
You can make it bigger.
If you've got a bigger earnest money deposit, because that money goes probably towards your closing, things like that. So you're not like you're throwing money away, but
and you're going to get it back.
Yeah,
no one's ever going to lose their earnest money, pretty much. Yeah, I lost one last year, my own personal, and I just didn't want to fight it. I just gave it away. But
it's an extreme scenario, so that's a good option for you. So.
Yeah, and then the appraisal thing. If you're bidding 20 over, you may say, hey, we're willing to pay $5,000 to $10,000 out of pocket.
I like it.
To cover a lower
and
appraisal.
I've done that. I did that maybe this time last year with a house.
Yeah. So if it's a $300,000 house and you're at 310, you may say, hey, we'll pay up to $5,000, which means if it comes back at 305, we're coming out of pocket. If it comes back at 300 where you were listed, well, we're negotiating. You're losing $5,000, I'm losing $5,000, right?
Yeah.
But those are options. We can talk about that. Lastly, escalation clauses. I love escalation clauses because you don't know if there's going to be one offer or 20 offers. Some agents won't allow escalation clause. I get the reasoning behind it. Another podcast, if we can just talk about escalation clauses. But I like them because at the end of the day, I'm going to bid escalation clauses against each other anyways. So I'm cool if you escalate. So essentially, I can tell my client, hey, let's offer ask price in case nothing else comes in at $300,000. But if you really want this house, we're going to escalate $1,000 over any other bona fide offer in writing.
That's
up to
bona
a
fide
max
offer in writing.
Up to a net $1,000 over any other bona fide offer, up to a max purchase price of say $325,000. Now we're $25,000 over if we need to, but we're only going to beat the next best offer. So if three others came in and one was $290 and one was $310, we're in it at $311. You save yourself $14,000. The flip side is that's why agents don't want the escalation clauses because they want to get that extra $14,000. But my reasoning is I'm not going in at $325 without the escalation clause necessarily either. So you're going to have a worse offer from me versus if you take my good offer plus the escalation, now you're maximizing. So
I like
about to pull my cord out. Hopefully
I
I'm
like
still good.
that.
Can you still hear me? All right.
Hello, is anyone here?
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end. And here's one thing that we received. I can't remember the house we received it on. Remember we got the letter from the buyer?
Oh, yeah.
That is something that it's very interesting to receive.
Yeah.
So the seller,
like a picture of their dog, like with
the
its
seller,
thumbs
the
up.
client sent us a letter
all the
saying
time
why they want that house and stuff. And for us as agents, some of us are dead on the inside. It doesn't mean that much to us, but to our sellers who are, real estate's an emotional business. Sometimes we've seen people make financial decisions emotionally that were not in their best interest.
Yeah.
They looked at that letter and said, their offer is $5,000 below the other offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's when we talked about in the beginning, I've got the best offer. I still didn't win. Sometimes it's because of that. The family sits down and say, you know what? I like
these
the
people
cut
are
of
going
the
to take
jib.
care of our house.
They want to raise their family here too. So
Is
think
this
about
an
that.
adoption agency too?
I guess you could write. I don't know.
Maybe. Can you write a letter to an adoption agency?
Who knows?
I feel like they should probably have some more strict parameters than probably.
I got to stop right there. Anyways, so no,
But
I've probably gotten 7 offers in the last month from people, like 7 letters with offers. Now they don't always win because here's the thing: sellers can be emotional and they love the letters. most of them love money more. So
Yeah.
keep your offer good. But now if you're competing and now you're like, oh, these
Don't
are
be
really
afraid.
close, then you have the letter with Sparky in there and little Timmy.
It's a funny thing. It's a funny
Yeah.
thing where me as a business person, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. But as the representative of the client, I'm going to give them
I
every
do.
information.
I tell them, read it. Let me
I'm
know how
like,
you
hey,
feel.
read it, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna. I'm like, really?
I've never chosen a offer based on a letter on a personal flip.
Yeah.
I've
Well, a
actually
personal flip.
never read them either. But I did give them to myself as my representative. I don't want to get.
I remember
I got to
the-
keep the emotions out of it.
Yeah.
Mike's looking at me like, you monster. But I
that
have to
letter-
keep the
the
emotions
letter that
out
we
of my
got,
business
what house was
decision.
that?
And as a
You
realtor,
remember what house that was?
well, Rosewood, I had a letter for sure.
This was like
I also
last
had a
year.
Rosewood on Cedar Landing, but like somebody else was like, we'll give you 17 over, and I was like, shredder. Like, you're just like, what are you gonna do? You're
Well,
like,
it's funny,
yeah.
They had a letter and they were over, and I remember reading the letter because your assistant Kat, she at the time said, she was like, look at this letter, and Kat, Kat, she's like, oh my goodness, look at this.
Are they gonna get it? Are they gonna get it?
And
I'm
she's
just
like,
like,
haven't get it
nope.
more. But like they did get it. That house they did get, and I was just like, well, that's very smart. I was
Yeah.
like, that agent, whoever you are, I don't remember, you were very smart.
And I tell my clients,
Very
write them.
good.
They're like, should I write it? I'm like, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care about it.
Pour your
I'm
heart
not
into
gonna
it.
look at it. But when you give it to me, I'm gonna give it to them. And if it's a one up, that's all we care about as your realtors. That's why we're the best realtors, right?
Yeah.
I don't care. My emotions are never in this. If you want this house, we're getting you this house. That's the thing, and that's
Yeah.
why we win bids. And that's why.
I was explaining to someone earlier before you walked into this. I said, I am not an emotional person when it comes to this. I'm going to advocate what you want.
Yep.
Whatever you want, that's what I want. I'm not going to talk you into anything.
Yeah.
I will defend your position like it's my firstborn child.
Yeah.
But I'm still not emotional.
When the client's going into an emotional breakdown, it's awkward sometimes because I'm sitting there like, but I just don't feel it because
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that it works out for you. So I have clients
I'm
all the
gonna take care
time
of you.
that are like, I don't know how you handle this across 20, 30 deals at a time because I'm about to kill myself with one. Like, thank you for keeping it together because that's our job. And when you get the realtor that's also having the emotional breakdown on the other side, you're like, hey, guy, can you calm down for a second?
Take a
Because
breath.
if you're acting like this with me, I know you're acting like this with your client, which means you guys are probably about to burn your own house down. So y'all
Like,
should just...
whose side are you on here?
Yeah,
Let's
it's like
all-
if
let's
you
all
could just
stay
keep
calm.
it cool, you know what I
Hey,
mean?
be cool. But
Keep
no,
it-
this has been nice.
This has been a good one.
This is, I
Every Thursday,
every Thursday.
this is gonna go weekly. We were doing it
We
like
might
every
have to
month.
get a new production company.
Did
But,
Mike, did Mike lose our video again?
I
He's
think we
so
lost the video.
engrossed in our podcast that he can't
you
keep
guys
our
can
video
hear.
on.
You probably can hear, but you can't see me.
If the
But it's all right.
audio's not right on this one, I swear it's gonna be.
There's gonna be like 1 minute of film of me. The rest of it's just audio
Just me.
and a
Well,
picture.
guys, we appreciate you listening and hopefully watching Studio 77, repping them out there. This has been RVA Real Estate Talk with Jared Davis.
And Galen Parker.
Follow us on Instagram, right? __ the Davis Group, or
Live, Love, Learn, RVA. Also, if you just need to talk, you have a question about real estate, feel free to call me, Galen Parker, at 804-274-9016, or Jared Davis at
804-536-6100.
If you have a real estate question that you would like to ask Jared or Galen, reach out to them at jared@centralvarealty.com or galen@centralvarealty.com. Who knows, it may even be featured on an upcoming episode.